Hey guys, we're live. Welcome to episode 4 of season 2 of Creators Campfire. Tonight I'm super lucky to be joined by Gerald Undone. Gerald is like an amazing YouTuber and a camera aficionado. And I was going to say fellow geek, but you are a geek in cameras, which I am not. I'm a wannabe geek. So Gerald, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Thanks for having me.
I'm super excited for this. I was just saying how nervous I am, so hopefully we'll go, this will go okay. So just to start with, Gerald, I guess from like listening to and watching other YouTubers, you are, even by other YouTubers, the go-to for camera and gear and details. How does that feel for you? And like, what's that like to have that?
I mean, it's humbling and I'm honored and it's great. I think that it's I don't know for sure, but I would imagine that one of the reasons that my channel has done okay, because I always thought that my subject matter was way too niche, that it would be hard to build an audience. But I think that because my content is useful to people that also make YouTube videos, like it's kind of like self-fulfilling that I get promoted better, or you know what I mean? So I've been able to build an audience based on other people's audiences being helpful to them, so it kind of trickles down. So I have nothing to complain about at all, and you get a lot of shout outs in other videos that I didn't even work out or try for. They're just like, oh, just go watch his video instead. It's like, well, thank you, so it's great. Nothing to complain about there. It's surreal though, especially when people that you watched for years are now touting your videos in their videos. You're like, this is weird, this is breaking my brain.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it sounds pretty cool, right? I guess was that I guess that was never really what you expected, right? You don't go into it going, this is the person I'm going to be, or this is how I'm going to like grow, right?
Yeah, I guess not. I mean, there's channels that I looked up to and I definitely, stole some ideas from and modeled certain things after, but they usually were, I guess, I thought had more mass appeal or broader, so I assumed I'm not going to be that channel, but I'm still inspired by them and I can use them for some ideas and inspiration, that kind of thing. But and obviously my channel it's still not those channels, and it probably never will be. I think there's a lower ceiling for how big my channel can get based on how niche it is. But I do really like. It's pretty awesome having the respect and appreciation of those channels that I watch. So. I mean, like I said, it's pretty crazy. You try not to get too comfortable or used to it, because I think that's bad for your mentality. But every once in a while, I check myself and I'm like, man, it's crazy. Like if I'm looking at Twitter or Instagram and you see who's like liking your post or following your post or whatever, like these are all the people I follow. This is crazy, Like I don't know. It's a pretty interesting thing.
Yeah, I guess you've got to, as much as you don't want to let that come in, you've got to kind of sometimes sit back and just appreciate it and just say, this is actually kind of cool, right?
Yeah, I think as long as you do it from the position of being, humble about it, and not that you, I don't know, I don't deserve it or have like an expectation for it. It's pretty wild, is all. Anyway.
Yeah. So I guess Gerald Undone, the channel as we know it, didn't quite start off like that, right? So this is maybe a couple of years, but you ventured into YouTube before that.
I did, yeah. A couple times. Whenever anybody asks me this, they're not talking about old stuff from like 2007, but I was on YouTube back when it was like early days YouTube, 2006, 7, 8, and I was doing what a lot of people did then, posting like acoustic guitar covers and really strange, very short sketches and that kind of thing. But then I didn't have the attention span for it. That channel's long gone. I don't even know what it was called or what to do with it. But then years later, 2016, August 2016 actually. So I guess I just passed my like 4 years as Gerald Undone. But the first two and a half probably of those was doing not that dissimilar stuff that didn't work. It was like variety content. It was a variety channel that featured, everything from, I did gaming stuff, sketches, just sort of like absurd videos that don't make any sense. I think I had like a couple cooking show episodes that were all, but everything, the theme was that everything was just absurd. It was like surreal, absurdist comedy. So the cooking show was weird and everything was just weird. I thought, this is good. People want like comedic David Lynch style YouTube videos. That's what YouTube needs, with no set style consistency or just complete. It's like, yeah, surreal variety content. That'll work real nice, you know.
And how did that go?
Yeah, I think that earned me maybe like 400 subscribers,
Okay.
probably, and some of those were probably only subscribed for the videos that were like gear related along the way. So maybe like I think I had like 100 core viewers after like 2 years of doing that.
Oh, wow.
So yeah,
Okay.
not sustainable.
No.
And it's, 1 month I did like 35 videos. There was a period where I was doing 10 pieces of content, if you will, per week. I had like a video every day, 2 live streams, and so 5 days a week videos, 2 live streams, and 3 let's plays in a week period. It was,
Wow.
and it netted me, like I said, 100 like really dedicated viewers, and I love those guys, and some of them
Yeah.
actually I think still watch my channel.
Shout out.
Yeah, but that is not my advice for how to start a YouTube channel in 2020. That's for sure.
So I'm guessing you obviously learned from those experiences. What did you take from those initial kind of forays into YouTube into this channel?
Yeah, well, okay. I had some very easy information, which was that there was stark contrast between videos that were doing well and not. Because I guess what I didn't say, for somebody who doesn't know my story already, is that periodically I would post a video about my, I guess, like journey of filming my YouTube videos. So if I got a new piece of gear, or if I was like my experience with live streaming and like different things I learned, like I would make videos about it all the way. Like one of my early videos was, you know, different encoders and OBS and what I learned about that. And so I'd make videos about those, and those would do extremely well because I guess I was decent at making like evergreen SEO style content for that. And then the other videos were not that at all. They couldn't be, really. There's no way to like make them that. So the views would be something like, after a few months, you'd look back on a video and one would have like 100 views and the other one would have 50, 80, 100,000 views. So I got a pretty clear indication of this works and this doesn't. Decide, I guess, if you want to do what you want. You make the decision. What do you want to do? But you have the numbers there to give you some information, you know? And some of those videos are still up. The like early ones that did reasonably well. Actually, you know what? This is funny. My most viewed video of all time now, for some reason, is this video I made a long time ago. And it's titled like "How to Remove White Spots from Your Monitor," and it's legitimate. But it was in the middle of me filming my crazy video, so I look like a maniac, and the video is crazy. There's some decent information in there, but I didn't know what I was doing. I just took my monitor apart and managed to remove a white spot with toothpaste and a toothbrush, and then put it all back together, and it worked fine. And for some reason that video's got almost 500,000 views, and it's my #1 viewed video, more than like my A7S III review. It's that how to remove white spots thing, and so. That goes to show, one, I didn't know then what I was doing. If you asked me, will this video do well? No chance. I metadated it for like a specific monitor type, and I was like, who needs to remove white spots from their computer monitor? There's gonna be like 40 people that is useful to. It's got 400 and something thousand views. Yeah, so
Amazing.
part of that should say that I don't know what I'm doing, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know how to YouTube, but
I think you definitely know how to YouTube. For sure. Clearly, that appealed to a lot of people. And
for some reason, yeah.
YouTube algorithm, maybe.
Yeah, I think it must have got served up to people. YouTube was like, let's just try this one out. And then people were like, yeah, I'll click on it. Why not? You know? But to answer the actual question, I made the call then to be like, well, I'll just do, like, there was at least something consistent about those types of videos. So I just made more of those types of videos and slowly kind of transitioned and found, I guess, my new voice and my new style. That took a while. It was almost like it could have just been a new channel at that point. Like, it was almost like a restart. Because like I said, I think I had 400 subscribers February or something of 2018, and started leaning into what I do now, I guess.
Yeah. So I guess going into this channel, then you've obviously made some strategic decisions. Did you know going in that you wanted it to be a business, and was that the mindset that you went into it as?
Yeah, yes, but business, I would say, is a term that I should have. You would have to be careful using that term if you saw what I was doing early on. But I did think I knew that there was information in place to suggest that YouTube could be a that YouTube could be a source of income that can vary anywhere from like some modest income that you can use to make some extra money, pay some bills, to it's absurd how much money you can make if you look at some of the top tier creators or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Now, like I said, I never thought that I would be doing that, but I thought it's possible to build a platform that you could, have a income off of. But I don't think that I tackled it early on from a very well structured business perspective, because it was just so early and it was so experimental what I was doing that there was nothing to really manage from a business sense. If anybody's ever done anything online, they know that the first things you get are like a couple pennies. And then they accrue in like an account. You're like, 17 cents this month or whatever. You're not really going to plot a business around that. There's nothing to really do, right?
Yeah.
But there are people that they build like sort of like an infrastructure, and then all those things kind of like build up at once and they have something. I didn't do that. I kind of just like dumped all my eggs into one. I'm not good at metaphors apparently, but I put them all into this like, I'll just make these crazy YouTube videos and maybe they'll take off. That was the strategy, which probably isn't the best strategy, because now I've been fortunate enough to have my channel grow at sort of a pace that's allowed me to develop the business. Now I would be comfortable saying I've made a business out of it, but there's definitely a contrast there as well from the origin to now. So if the question was, did I start out with a business? I started thinking I could make money, but I didn't start out with a business plan, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, totally. I guess the reason for me asking that is I've wanted to get into YouTube properly for a while in my head. And I think one of the things putting me off was always thinking about it as a hobby or something. Never ever thinking about the money side, but just, it would be cool if this took off. And I suppose recently it's been like, well, if you think of it like a business, as in this is my business, not I'm going to make X amount of money, but just take it seriously. It's a different approach, I suppose, to just a hobby. Which
I think that's probably smarter if that's your long-term goal, but it's hard to say. The trick is that there's no guarantees with YouTube. So people that make a business plan usually have a strategy that you think, if somebody were to scrutinize a strategy, that it should hold up to some level of scrutiny. We're like, okay, so you're going to get the place. This is where your vendors are. This is what you're going to sell it for. These are your margins based on research. This is the cost of customer acquisition. You have like a whole plan, and then somebody could scrutinize that and look at loopholes. If your plan was like, I'm just going to make wacky videos of me building model cars, it's much more difficult, I think, to have that kind of plan unless you like directly model it after another channel. But then because of scale, the economies of scale, it's very difficult to have. I think like at least to make something on paper as a plan, I would find it quite difficult. Once you I almost feel like you just kind of have to go in and just go for it, thinking that I'll be able to make a business out of this once it reaches a certain threshold. And the threshold you don't have to be making millions of dollars or whatever. Yeah. But I just think like you have to have it reach a point where then you could have enough information that came in from analytics, from the market in this case would be, your viewers and how that works, and have enough information to then be able to make a plan. I would find it, even from what I know now, I would find it difficult to make a plan from zero, which is, I guess, not helpful, but it does go to show that I still think for every creator, the first phase is that cliche, you just got to make the videos. I do think that that's the answer, even. And YouTube's made it that way now, where you're not even a partner until you've kind of started making the videos. You know what I mean? And I think that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. No, yeah, no, it does make sense. So I guess your growth then, so how was that for you? Because I guess when you go in, you're like, oh, I want well, at least me, I was like, oh, okay, my first target is 100 subscribers, and then maybe 1,000. So how was that for you, and what did that growth kind of look like?
Yeah, I was the exact same way. I didn't have I think so what I used was at that time, I think they've changed a little bit, but some of them are still the same. It's YouTube had this grid that was like channel features that you could unlock as certain thresholds were met. And one of them was like a custom URL. You get a custom URL at 100 subscribers or something, right?
Yes, that's what I'm aiming for.
Because I think I have this like mentality of like a video gamer wanting to get achievements or something like that. I almost tried to play YouTube to unlock the achievements, where it was like, okay, we got to get 100 subscribers because then I unlock custom URL and it turns green in the dashboard and you're like, yes, you know? And so I just kept trying to like unlock all the achievements. But outside of that, I think I had the same mentality of a milestone where I don't feel like I had it early on for the first, you know, however many subscribers, but 100 was definitely a milestone. And then each 100, I think after that was something until you like maybe hit 500, and then it's like, okay, now we're trying to get to 1,000. You know, the gaps get bigger to where you think it's a new milestone, which is interesting because it's like it still takes the same amount of time to hit the next milestone, let's say relatively, but it's so many more people that if you think of how excited you were to hit the first 100, then I'm sure if you had like 5 million subscribers, you're hitting 100 subscribers every like 20, 30 minutes. Yet it, you know, it's funny how people, the number becomes less of a person as the numbers get larger. Even though even the fact that it's representative of a person doesn't change. It's weird. YouTube is weird for stuff like that. It's like when you have 100 subscribers, you can almost think of it. That's 100 people watch it. If you had 1 million subscribers, I don't know what 1 million people is. So what do I do with that? It doesn't mean now it's just a figure, you know?
Yes,
but I had the same milestones as you. Like,
okay, that's good. I consider that a big tick in my box. But you're right. There's that whole you can't imagine it. So like me, I can probably go to a football stadium full, and then I'm like, okay, any more people than this, and I don't know what it looks like.
Yeah, exactly.
They're all just the same.
What does that mean? Exactly.
Yeah. Speaking of subscribers, though, you are about to hit the 200,000 mark. How does that feel?
So okay, I can downplay it. Because there's no achievements to unlock at 200,000. So there was like the funny thing is when I hit 100. Sorry if I look like a crazy person. I had eyelash in my eye and it's been bugging me, but I don't know how to get it. So if I just look like a maniac over here, that's what I'm doing, fam. If you guys are watching this live,
not look like a maniac. Okay.
So I'm just like we've got crazy person on, Gerald, and it's yes. So I'm trying to unlock all the achievements on YouTube. Okay. What is this guy talking about? So when I hit 100K, that was big for me because it was almost like you beat the game and YouTube gives you a plaque to be like, you won. Congratulations. You've unlocked all the achievements. Here's your plaque.
Yep.
Now get off the platform. I don't know what they were thinking, right? And the next thing, you don't really get anything as far as I know until you hit like 1 million. And for me, that almost seems like I honestly think my ceiling is much lower than 1 million subscribers. I think for me, you know, 100% completion, if I'm going to keep up the video game analogy, would maybe be like 500,000. Maybe that seems like a bit of a stretch. So 200K to me is just absurd in the same regard, where it's like there's no more milestone for me in terms of the achievement thing, but yet everything I've done to get to 100K and all of that and just how extreme the 100K is, there's also that moment where you can take a step back and go, wait a second though, that just happened again. Like it's now another one of those, and in record time for my channel or whatever. You know what I mean? So that's crazy. And then I try my best to realize, to try it again, to actually like put that in perspective of people, and it's absurd. 200,000 people watching your stuff is absurd, and you know, even though the views don't reflect that because nobody gets 100% subscriber to view count, but still like. When you know, when 50,000 people turn in to watch a video, it's absolutely silly. So yeah, I don't know. The answer would be I don't know what I think about hitting 200K. In some regards, it's like, well, you just keep working. It's just another number because you know I did all my achievements. In another regard, it's like that's double from when I won YouTube in my mind. You know what I mean?
You're winning again, and I for one definitely think you can hit the 1 million subscriber mark. Your content is, and I'm not just saying that because your content is so good. So I don't think there's a ceiling there. I think the more people you reach, the better.
I appreciate that. But the answer, I guess, would be I guess I should apologize for how abstract my answers have been. I just want to say that is like I know that most answers have been like. I wish I could give you like good, solid, you know, inspirational tips, and I feel like instead I'm giving you like abstract concepts that you feel a certain way. I don't know. Anyway, you're doing a great job.
No, thanks. No, it's good because I think that's the thing though, is you kind of, it's nice seeing it from your point of view, because otherwise you don't really know what's going through people's heads, and there is no answer, I suppose, to these questions, right? You're kind of just doing it as you go along and seeing how it feels. So you know
what I think too? I think if there was a formula, you know, we talked about setting out a business plan early on or whatever.
Yeah.
I think you probably could model after somebody who maybe there was a channel that approached it in a very simple way, had success, and there was results, and they measured them and everything. I think that you maybe could come up with a formula and model it after that. But I wonder if that would really be YouTube, where there is like a lot of guesswork and mystery and, you know, the grind and just kind of like the weird abstract stuff we're talking about. That is kind of what creating a YouTube channel is. That is what it is. And you have to learn that and develop, and your channel evolves and your content evolves, and you become this other thing. That's what I think the YouTube experience is. I think that maybe you could model it after that, but does anybody want to? Does anybody want to follow a YouTube program? Yes. You know what I mean? Like, completed step 13. It's like, is that even fun? What are you doing? You know, I feel like it only works if you're into it. I think that's a thing for YouTube. And I think you're only into it if you're doing YouTube the way that YouTube's meant to be done, which is just this kind of like, you know, pretty wild way of doing it. And I feel like that's what keeps the drive and the passion, and that drive and passion will translate into viewers wanting to watch you. I think if you were just following the cookbook, you probably wouldn't even have a channel. It would just be, who cares, you know? Maybe.
No. I think you're right, because then it's just like a YouTube robot, right? I'm just ticking all the boxes. I'm not experimenting or figuring things out or finding myself along the way.
Exactly. You're just doing a business by the books or something. Yes. And I think that applies to business too. The businesses that are most successful take risks and do all kinds of crazy stuff rather than just, you know, they just run the business by the numbers or whatever, which might work, but are you in it? Are you in it to win it? You know?
Yeah. Got to unlock that next level.
Exactly.
No. Okay, cool. You kind of set up my next question. Your channel has obviously evolved, like they all do. How much of that? So actually, sorry. In what way has it evolved for you, and how much of that was kind of not planned, but a bit more, okay, this is the direction I want to go in, versus, oh, this just happened?
Yeah, that's a good question. If I don't know, 50-50 maybe would be a safe thing. I can tell you certain ones that I like, things that I remember. Right now, I would say that if you got somebody to describe me, well, I made that channel trailer where I got people to describe me, but they focus on the fact that, like, you know, they would say, oh, it's detail oriented and like nerdy and nitty gritty and that kind of thing. That aspect has been an evolution, and it was from kind of testing the waters. The idea of, oh, we can make a photo video channel about gear and that kind of thing. I mean, that has already been established that you can do that. That's a thing. So, and there was other people, like I said, I could model it after. Some of my early videos I was doing, you know, tutorials on software and stuff like that. And Peter McKinnon had already basically proven that people want to see those or will watch those. So you're not experimenting or figuring things out at that point if you do that, right? But if that just opens the door and lets you go in the room, then there's multiple spaces in the room that you have to occupy and figure out what you're going to do there. And I kind of walked around and touched different things, and I was, you know, not sure what was going to work. And sometimes you'd get a little feedback, you'd get like a positive response on one thing, and you'd be like, really? Nah, maybe that's a fluke, because I'm interested in that, but that's got it, like nobody else would be, right? And I kept going back to that and back to that, and that would be the like super, I just call it like nerdy camera gear stuff. But I want to say some of the early ones were, I think one of the really early ones for me that was the one where I wasn't sure is like, was this a fluke? Was I made a video because it was like the 10th year celebration, or it wasn't no 10th year celebration. I just made it that, but it was like 10 years since Micro Four Thirds, the system came out, and I was like, I think I was going to do a video, and that video got delayed, so I wanted to make another video to keep up a schedule. And so I was like, well, let's talk about Micro Four Thirds for like a 10-year thing. What should I talk about? And I decided to look into some of the origins on it. And when I was doing that, I read something that said that it wasn't based on the aspect ratio 4:3. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then I ended up going on this rabbit hole where I was just reading a lot about television tubes and like how cathode ray sizing was, and it just, so I was like, oh, that's great, cool. Anyway, what's my video going to be about? And then somehow I was like, what if I just consolidated all this information into like a presentable package and then made it as kind of like, let's talk about the origins of Micro Four Thirds while as sort of like a 10-year thing. and I put the video together, and a good portion of the video, probably like a third of it, is me just doing math on the screen with sort of like lame Photoshop animations that I made of like numbers transforming others, showing how you can measure a TV tube to make it equal 4/3 through like fractions. It was just like, I was like, what am I doing with my life? You know, so I posted that video. Yeah, I posted that video, and it did surprisingly well. It was one of those ones that, 50,000 and then 100,000 views. And it wasn't even marketed particularly well. And a lot of people were commenting like, "Oh, this is great. I love it. Talk nerdy to me, all that kind of stuff." And so that was one of the ones where I was like, "Really interesting." And then I went back to my kind of regular, run of the mill kind of camera gear stuff. And then one day I wanted to make you know what it was? It was whenever I was feeling like something was missing, or that I didn't feel like the explanations were up to the standard for which I would want something explained to me, like it didn't work for my brain. I then thought, well, if there's somebody out there that thinks like me, I'll dump the information that I finally figured out for my brain onto somebody else. And the videos did really, really well. And that's the thing where it's like, how is there market for this? Like, it doesn't, I make jokes where it's like, if you want to watch a video of some guy yelling numbers at you for 20 minutes, I've got them, I've got, and they were longer than what people were making YouTube videos at the time. People were making 8-minute videos. I was making 19-minute videos of me, like, just saying the names of codecs for like 19 minutes. Anyway, they did well. So that was the evolution where I felt comfortable that I could do more of that. And it also kind of allowed me, I guess, to put more of, it's tricky because when you say put more of yourself in the videos, I think people mean like be less professional and be more personal. And the reality is that is how I am. I just try to present it in a rapid, concise way. So I think I come across as serious. But if anybody knew me in real life, they'd know that I literally do spend my time deep diving weird things and then yelling at people what I've researched and writing on whiteboards and stuff like a maniac. Like that's me for real. So the videos are actually pretty legit versions of me, and it's great to be able to do that and have people care. This is a long-winded answer, but it's also a perfect example of my videos I'm talking about. I just yelled at you for 10 minutes of like, it's talking about cathode ray tubes on a podcast. What are we doing here with our lives?
This is amazing. It's a live video.
Was there an answer? Was there an answer in there? I think there might have been.
There was definitely an answer, and actually, I love that. And you're right. Because there are people that maybe look for ways to make their videos a certain way and maybe lose themselves a little because they're trying to chase the numbers or something. But I guess what you found is that you could wholeheartedly just be yourself on screen, and you've kind of like found your people, right? It's like, this is amazing.
Yeah. And that's great because as much as you're still going to encounter people that get on your video somehow and go, what is this? This is garbage. I don't want to see this. And they like but the fact is the people, if you do find your people, like you said, then that level of support and positivity is higher than I think if you go broader, you get kind of broad support, if you will. But if you go specific and you get specific support, it's usually very rewarding because you feel more connected to the audience in that case, because you're like, these people get it. They're like me, they're into it. And then you can also, maybe push a little bit more. Like, okay, we're going to get pretty nerdy this week, see how that goes. And that's the evolution part that you asked about. It's that just pushing out a little bit, feeling things out, stretching what you can do a little bit more here and there. And then I still throw videos in that are just kind of like, you gotta review the new camera, you gotta do whatever. But then you start letting it bleed into that. Now when you review a new camera, you don't just do it by the numbers. You do kind of like, you bring some of that other stuff that people liked into your camera reviews, and then now you get a bigger audience for the nerdy stuff. I don't know. I think you get what I'm saying. Yeah. That's my evolution.
Yes. It's like a nice phased approach. It's like, okay, this is where I want to be, and this is how I can merge these two along the way and kind of get there.
Scary though, because you don't know. You're like, is this going to work? But if it doesn't, then you get your answer, and I guess then you get to ask yourself again. Well, do I want to do this or not? Because at least you tried. So. Yeah.
In terms of your workflow, I love this question because I'm obsessed with people's workflows and the whole productivity thing. But what does that look like for you? So I guess with YouTube, there are so many aspects that I suppose someone outside might not think about in terms of the things that go into producing a video. Things like thumbnails, which are like ridiculously important, it seems. But like to go from, oh, I have an idea, all the way to uploading. Obviously not a detailed one, although I would be very interested, but I don't know if anyone else would be listening. But kind of what roughly does that look like for you, and what kind of timelines are we talking?
So it would depend heavily, I guess, on what the videos of the time. That I would say it ranges from something as easy as like a quick tip kind of idea, or something you find in a camera that's weird that you need to share with somebody, to I'm going to review like a cine camera. I'm going to round up a bunch of lenses, and then there's a big difference in the time. From the short would be, I could maybe pump out that video, the tip video, in maybe like a day if I had it together, shot it, edited, and then the next morning post it or something like that. You know,
Yeah.
give me a 24-hour cycle. On the far end, it probably takes me like 2 weeks to make a video, and that's like going pretty hard on it, where, you know, I'm putting in several hours every day, testing, documenting, writing all the way through, so that I can get to the point where I can make the video in a couple days. But there's that first little bit beforehand. But the actual video production part, so let's say that I've done everything, the testing, everything's done, and I write a script. I always write like a full, thorough script. When I have that done, it's like I transfer the script to teleprompter. I only started doing that in the last few months, but otherwise I would memorize it in sections. But and that would take a really long time. So that also changed the workflow from maybe shooting for an hour. Used to shoot maybe like 3 hours because of the having to memorize the script as you go. Yeah. So now with the teleprompter, I've cut down quite a bit of time. But yeah, so I shoot, takes me about an hour. Then we go to edit. I edit that whole talking segment so that I have sort of like at least a base for how long the video is going to be, and I've kind of trimmed down the A-roll, and then I'll watch it again. That first time was like with speakers, and I'll watch it again with headphones on, and I'll do a little bit of audio work while I write down every shot that I want to get to explain what I'm talking about while I have the A-roll, and then I can write down timestamps and stuff like that so I know where it goes. Yeah. Then we go back to shooting again, but this time it would be just getting all the shots that better demonstrate and visualize the aspects of what's going on. Or if I need to shoot a test demonstration, that would be, because sometimes my tests are really wacky and the footage doesn't make any sense. So then I'm like, okay, well, I'm just trying to show how the eye detection works. So now I'll just shoot a very clean sample of how the eye detection works. So shoot that. It's essentially B-roll, but it's a test. Shoot that. It doesn't take that long, usually a couple hours. And then go back into the edit, put all those things where they belong, and then do another pass of just tidying everything up, putting in what needs to be put in. So that process takes me 2 days, I would say. 1 day to shoot the main thing and edit it. The second day to shoot more B-roll, put it all together, and then export it. And then I'll usually, because I don't usually want to put my videos up at weird hours, so I'll probably get that video for the next day morning. So it'll be like the third day in the morning. Any specific questions, I guess, about the workflow, or is that what you were thinking was that kind of thing?
Yeah. It's because I guess you're right, when you're doing like those testing videos, you've got that whole testing phase, right, that other people might not have if they're, you know, testing gear. So if you're just doing a normal video, it's like, oh, I have an idea of doing this. I spend kind of X amount on a script, which I guess not everybody does, but is I guess you've got a lot of detail in your videos. So
yeah, if I did like an unboxing kind of thing, that would be a whole different. And people do that. I don't love doing those videos too much, but if I first impressions kind of idea, like if I could unbox it, tell you first impressions, whatever, yeah, I could probably shoot that in an hour, edit and get it up same day. And I mean, that's a viable way to make a video that I probably could use for when I have like down weeks where I'm swamped with the test and but my brain won't allow me to do that. I need to like focus in on something until it's done. So I kind of just go into the tank and then come out with a script. And then I do a regular video process then, you know? So
right. Okay.
And along the way, I do the metadata stuff. And usually though, I've heard people, they make a plan from like a title. They'll be like, I want to make a video called, you know, toaster versus robot sword fight or something like that, and then they go and they make that video. I don't know where I came up with that idea.
That's interesting.
For
Gerald's next
me,
video.
that sounds like an old Gerald Undone video.
Yeah.
For me, I never do that. I'm always, and I know other people can relate to this. I have this video that I'm happy with, and then it's like, what the hell am I gonna call this thing? You know, like, because the real title, you want to make it like 50 words long, like in-depth comparison of this feature versus that feature in 2020 with a look compared to the old camera. It's like, that's not a title. So you try to come up with some title, and then sometimes they work. Like I have these titles lately, but you also don't want to make it clickbait where it's like, you have to buy this or something, because what does that even mean? So instead, you're trying to find the balance there, and I usually come up with that last. Believe it or not, like my title's last. Sometimes I'm in the shower, and then I'll be like, oh, that's not bad,
Yeah.
and then you write that down, but that's usually the day of posting. It's never, like, I'm working on a video right now, I'm in that testing phase. I have no idea what I'm going to call it. I haven't even thought about it, and I haven't thought about the thumbnail either, but I have a general sense of how I do thumbnails now, so it's probably going to be the thing. It's under NDA, but it's going to be the thing here, and I'm going to shoot it, and I'm going to light it, and it's going to have purple behind it. That's probably what the thumbnail is going to be, but the title, I have no idea. Yeah.
Well, that's cool. I suppose then you don't get distracted with worrying about those things until it's done, right? It's like, okay, that's the last problem. The content.
But my
is
videos don't
important.
ever like blow up like some people do when they have the more kind of, I don't want to say like a viral mentality, but when they go in thinking, chasing that thing, then they have a strategy for that. I don't have that kind of strategy. My strategy is almost always make content that's useful, hopefully for a long time. And I try to structure everything that way, title, thumbnail, whatever. I want it to try to be evergreen and not, related to just now or something. Different strategies, but that's my strategy.
Yeah, no, I personally prefer that as well, because no one wants just that one hit, right? It's like, okay, this is reliable, and I know it's going to be here, and I know what I'm getting, and I don't have to worry about clickbait when I come to this channel, right?
And it's easier to do the whole business idea that you talked about earlier on. If you build content that's, has a lifespan, then it can be some recurring like revenue, like small amounts that accumulate based on the amount of videos you have. And if like these videos tend to get a couple thousand, even the old videos get a couple thousand views a month from back then each month there's a couple new videos that are going to do that, and you can kind of figure out like a business around that. Where I think if you were just, dropping these like one-shot banger kind of things, you'd be counting on the algorithm, and that's a harder thing to plan around, I would guess,
Yes. Yeah. And I think it's probably harder to come up with things as well, because then you might be all over the place rather than having a bit more of a, okay, this is how my channel works. It's like fitting it the other way around, right?
Absolutely.
So is there a favorite or a least favorite part of the process for you?
Yeah, probably. I actually don't like shooting the video because it feels like the most stressful part. There's probably a couple physical things involved in that, like you're under the lights, the camera's on, and in my place right now, there's a lot of factors that a lot of people can relate to this that negatively impact your shooting. There's like noises and this and everything going on, so it almost feels like okay, I've got some time, everything's quiet, it's getting warm in here. I'd turn off the air conditioner, whatever, and it just starts to like it feels kind of stressful. It feels a little bit stress inducing, and that's something I've been wanting to work on actually, is being more relaxed in the shooting of the A-roll thing and trying to like, life is good. I'm shooting videos where I'm just yelling numbers at the camera and people are enjoying it. Like I shouldn't be stressed out about it, but yeah, when I'm quite comfortable now, being on camera and talking to the camera and that kind of thing. But there still is just this kind of, I gotta get this right. I gotta do this right. I gotta do a good job, and the thing's ticking down, So that's probably my least enjoyable part. And I actually. But I really like the editing, which is strange because the editing part is the one that would probably be the easiest to offload to another, like talented individual. Yeah. But it's the part that I'm the most like relaxed about. Like once I get my tracks in and they're all synced up and I'm thinking, okay, I've got this long bit of A-roll, I just get to chop up. It's almost like Zen for me. I can just like get in there and do that. But the shooting of it, drives me at the wall. The testing is my favorite. But that's not, I guess, like part of the making of the video. That's that's me doing my hobby almost, is the testing part.
Right.
The surreal aspect is the fact that I get to turn that into a business somehow. Is I keep pointing at gear off screen, and
I want to know what it is.
I know some of my viewers especially is like, what is he pointing at? And you guys would want to know what I'm pointing at too, but you don't get to see. But it's all over there. It's nice. Anyway, yeah. So playing with that stuff over there is fun, and you know, conventionally I would pay money to do that. It'd be like it would be like a hobby. So the fact that I get to do that now for free, essentially, and then turn it into videos, there should be no. I shouldn't be stressed out about doing it, but there is a little bit of that, like putting yourself out there, or you're recording it. You don't make any mistakes, and then post the video. You know, I don't know. It's all good. I really shouldn't be complaining, but if I had to pick, it would be that.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, I've got a couple of quick-ish fire questions.
Lightning round.
Yeah. Okay, so slightly inspired by your studio playlist.
Okay.
So, do you have a favorite studio, either one that you've visited and done a video on, or just in general that you would like to visit?
That's a good question. I've always really liked what Marquez Brownlee is doing with the studios. You know, he's always got these crazy spaces with like a really clean look and a lot of fun gadgets in there. So that's great. I think I said early on that for my Studio Undone series that, you know, MKBHD would be like the final boss. To keep the video game analogy going, he'd be like the final boss of the adventure. I also have always kind of been interested in what Unbox Therapy, like Lou, is doing, and they've changed a few times now. So I actually need to get an update on what's going on there with the studio. Peter McKinnon's new space is nice, and yeah, I don't know. But then, like, as far as the ones that I toured, Josh, when I did for Make Art Now, when we did his studio, he's recently taken over the other half of that space and kind of remapped things. And he's always had a very creative, interesting eye, just in general. So his space is very cool, and it feels like a sort of this kind of like interesting work in progress that is very. It's like a reflection of his brain almost, and I feel like when you're in his studio, you can kind of look around and kind of almost see like the inner workings of how Josh's brain kind of works, but like in the space, and it's a very, very interesting experience. But they've all been great. That's the best part. Is like, you know, Tyler Stallman's space is so nice, and Sarah Dietschy's space is great. I can't really pick a favorite. I really like I like that everybody's different, and I like that everybody has that you can really pull, I don't know, like you get something about the creator based on the space that they're in. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, my favorite space I guess I watch on YouTube would be, actually, you know what's probably the coolest space would be Linus Tech Tips, how they have like this warehouse and they build like little sets inside and then have all these different things. I think that's really cool. I don't know. All that, like, I'm just
Everybody.
I'm just babbling on like a regular viewer who likes everybody. Like, I like this one, I like that one. I don't know.
That's cool. That's what I do.
Terrible answer to your very succinct question. Oh, you have a question that should have a one-word answer? Here, allow me to say nothing for 15 minutes. You're welcome.
This is awesome. No, that is totally cool. You just didn't want to leave anyone out. The thing is, they all have amazing studios. You're right. So I can understand why it's difficult to pick one. This is kind of linked, but not necessarily studio-based. But is there someone that you would absolutely love to do a collab with that you haven't?
Yeah, I really like collaborate. Like, the answer would be pretty much probably everybody I haven't, but I can give you some. I can drop some names. The truth is that, remember earlier when I said that what's great about finding people when you do something so specific is that you find people that, you know, you're really compatible with, that are very. So the collaborations that I've done from people that are in a similar space and know me and that kind of thing, it's been awesome. So. I'm down for collabs like that, but there's some people that I guess have more recently kind of become friends with that I haven't really done any collabs with yet, and so I'd be interested in doing stuff with them. One would be James Matthews, who's out of the UK, has like a filmmaking channel. Peter Lindgren is somebody I've been really like interested in lately. We've been chatting a bit. He's in Sweden. And there's a couple locals. Obviously, you know, I've been talking with Peter McKinnon and Matty Hapoy and stuff like that. We haven't done a video together. And Daniel Schiffer is someone we've been talking to. But yeah, I'm down for collabs with pretty much anybody that have that connection with that haven't done a video with. And even if we have done a video, I'll do another
Yeah.
one.
Right.
There's people that this whole year started out with me thinking I want to do more of those collabs, and it started out great. Like iPhondo is one of my favorite people on the planet now, and then it started because of a collab, and I'd love to be able to like do stuff with him again. But obviously, we are where we are in the world, and things are kind of locking down again. Not to bring down the mood,
Yeah.
but so it's you have to be more careful with the strategy. So we're doing a lot of remote stuff now, which makes for an interesting thing. But yeah, again, this is a long-winded answer that I'll just Peter Lindgren. There you go.
Yeah.
There's the answer. I want to do something with Peter Lindgren, but I have to like fly to Sweden or something to do that. So
yeah. Could you do a remote studio tour? I don't think it has the same feel.
We've thought about that. I made a gag out of it with Becky and Chris. Oh, Becky and Chris is another people that we want to do a collab with, but we did like a little drone gag with that. But yeah, I don't think you wouldn't have that kind of it's kind of like a smarmy kind of like riffy thing that we do in the video, and I feel like that wouldn't be there. So it'd be a bit more. Just be a bit more practical and buy the books and less kind of like goofy. And you need that goofy for the channel, for that series.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. What is, I'm not gonna say who's your favorite YouTuber, but what is maybe another YouTuber that you watch the most?
I think I don't know if it's a tie, but it would either be Philip DeFranco or Linus Tech Tips, probably. The fact that Linus Media Group has more than one channel means that it might be them if you go by like videos
Right,
or watch time. But I watch Philip DeFranco pretty much every episode, like on the daily or whatever. So that's probably. And I've also I'll say this every time I get a chance to bring him up. My like middle phase of Gerald Undone, where I was doing videos of this content, but it was facing the other way and I had a certain set. I stole almost my entire like style off of Philip DeFranco. You could tell that I watched too much Philip DeFranco because I didn't do it consciously either. I just realized I was making videos where I was talking real fast. There was a lot of jump cuts. I had this like symmetrical background behind me with the way it was lit, and it was almost just like I was doing like a Philip DeFranco show, but it was a camera gear show. So it was like Philip DeFranco
Inspired,
camera channel or whatever. And so now when I watch him, I'm like, when I watch him the videos, like, man, I stole my entire shtick from that guy and then just changed the genre.
Amazing.
Yeah, so that would be the answer, I guess. Philly D.
Love it. And finally, which is, I think you've actually kind of answered it in a weird way. I was going to say, who is your kind of inspiration YouTube wise? I don't know if it would be Philip DeFranco, but that might be more studio. maybe
more for like the format, I guess.
Yeah,
in terms of inspiration, I would say I go through phases where there's just somebody that I'm really into at the time. Over time, it's been, I talked MKBHD, that would probably be consistent. There was a period where, and none of these people, I'm not saying that I don't like them anymore, just kind of, like it's just like the same thing as like if you ask somebody, what song are you really into right now? It changes from time to time, But a channel, Hardware Connects, they do computer hardware. There was a period there where I was just in awe at how I thought underrated that channel was. They've gotten some recognition since then, but I was watching them when they were kind of smaller, and I just thought they put so much effort into the shots and just everything looks great, where a lot of the other tech channels at the time were just kind of doing, just like pointing a camera at something, and Dimitri was just crushing it on Hardware Connects. And so I drew a lot from them early days, and then obviously again the big ones like Linus and Marquez and that kind of thing. And then all the other people that I've mentioned since then, like, and these days, I kind of, who's like crushing it right now? I already said it, but iPhondo, if you guys like, know him and then you haven't watched him in a while, you got to check out that guy's like last like 10 videos. I don't know if he's just like, turned it up a notch or something, but like he's not like fading out. He might have been being steady for a while, and now he's just like, let's try even harder or something like that. And it's just like that guy's, I don't know, but it's, yeah, he inspires me because of, and even when I did his studio tour, he works out of like basically his like living room. That's his studio, and he puts all the work in. It's kind of like a small scale operation. Him and his wife, and that's pretty much it. And he just shoots everything, and his shots are outstanding, and his videos are really entertaining. I would say that should be a good inspiration target. That if I had to recommend somebody to be inspired by, it'd be him because it's attainable. What he does is, I mean, he's skilled. I can't say that, you know what I mean? Like that's something you have to practice and work on. But he doesn't have anything that would be like, oh, I can't do that because I don't have this or that. Like he's, like I said, he's doing it out of his living room, and what comes out of it is outstanding, and that's more inspiring, I guess, to me than I don't know, seeing what is on HBO or something. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. It's a weird answer, but that's who I'm into this month is Farrak from iPhondo.
Yeah, well, no, that makes sense, right? It kind of proves that there's no excuses, right? Anyone can do something if they actually really want to.
And shout out to Make Art Now, by the way. That guy inspires me just being alive. You know, he's one of my best YouTube friends, and he's the guy's a maniac. So I love that guy too. Anyway, it's hard. You can't ask me who I like or don't like because I feel like I'm like missing something. You didn't ask me who I don't like.
No.
What YouTuber are you not inspired by?
Mm-hmm. I'll wait.
Who are you least inspired by? Anyway.
We won't make you answer that, although you asked yourself. And finally from me, before, I think there's a couple questions in the comments, but
sure.
For somebody who is starting now in terms of YouTube, and this is probably a question you get a lot, but is there any advice that you would maybe give them, or something if you were starting now, that you would do?
Yeah, there's going to be some cliches in here, so buckle up. But the starting now is kind of the answer is in itself. Stop procrastinating. There's not going to be a perfect time. There's this adage that I always get wrong, but I love it, and it's the idea. It's something to the tune of the best time to plant a giant redwood tree is 100 years ago. The second best time is now. Yeah. And I think if you think about that, it's the perfect idea where it's never going to. You're always going to look back and wish that you had started then, whenever then was. You're going to feel that way every day until you do start. So, start tomorrow. Maybe you can't start today because it's midnight and you're in bed. I don't know. But start tomorrow, okay? There's no more excuses. And then when you do start, I think that this, again, is a cliche idea, but the whole idea of be yourself on YouTube has been talked about a lot. I think what that means, I think there's some good advice in there. And what that means is that you, as a person, are interested in something or many things. And there's probably one or two of those things that you're like really into so much that you don't even tell people how into it you are in public because you don't want to like steer the conversation in a weird way or just like be awkward and monopolize the thing talking about how you carve your own Monopoly houses at home or something weird like that. You know what I mean? There's something that you're really, really into. That is what your channel is about. And make it unbridled passion for that. Because one, like we already discussed, you want to find your people. I think that you put that really elegantly. And two, people love passion. Even if they don't care what you're talking about, people love passion. They feed off of it. If you are passionate, then people might translate that somehow into like, yeah, this guy's talking about mailboxes, but damn, I want to draw that thing I was working on. It's like unrelated, but they just like, they get jazzed up about passion. And that's what it is. And that will solve a lot of the problems of YouTube. Like I said, don't make variety content. Well, nobody is passionate about variety. That's not a thing. It doesn't make any sense. So do what you're passionate about. Market it the best you can. You'll develop those. You'll get better at shooting it. You'll get better at SEO. You'll get better at YouTube, the game. But just unleash your passion into the platform. That's my best advice. And do it now because there's no reason not to. Is that good? That
is amazing. Okay. I love it. Unleash your passion.
There you go. There's your byline.
Yeah. Amazing. See, you're great at coming up with titles. I don't know what you're talking about.
But see, we came up with it after the fact. You didn't ask me what should I title the stream 2 days ago.
That's like, a very good point.
Now we have the title. Now we have it.
Amazing. I'm just going to whiz through the comments and see if we've got some. Oh, we've got lots of comments. Okay, cool. Some questions. How much time per week do you spend reading and learning about photo and tech stuff to keep up with everything? Because you seem to know everything about everything.
Yes, all the time. I spend all the time on that. No, I mean, realistically, if I had to give an answer, daily, for sure. And then the job itself, if you want to call like the YouTube thing my job, the job itself kind of forces that because you say maybe you're checking your email. Maybe it's like you're eating something and you're checking your emails. Your email is like, hey, Gerald, we got a new apparatus. Do you want to review it? You know what I mean? So, well, what the hell's this apparatus? And then you're reading on it. You're like, oh, it's got this. Oh, I read about it. The next thing you know, you're just doing it. You're just automatically doing it. So it's immersive in that sense. So most of the time, all the time.
Plus, it's what you love, right? It's not like, oh, I have to go and work. This is just what I would, I'd be reading about this stuff anyways or whatever, right?
Yeah, and it's broader than that for me. It's like it's technology as a whole, but the reason why this one works so well is because of how it's kind of self-fulfilling. I'm making videos which require me to use video gear, so if I keep up on the video gear that I'm using to make videos, then I'm actually staying up on what's going on with video making, so that I can make videos about it. And it just kind of turns into this thing that it also makes it easier to kind of pay for itself too, because you're using the stuff that you use to make the stuff, rather than if I had to collect oil paints. Again though, unleash your passion. If it's oil paints, then do it. And if your channel does really well, then you might have access to oil paints all day long or whatever. Yes. But still, at least with cameras, I'm using a camera right now. So that's why I focused on that.
Very good point. Yep. No. What's the one thing you regret, if anything, buying most in your YouTube career?
What do I regret buying the most?
Yeah, I think yes, I can read. Just checking.
I mean, I don't know. There's some, they're not like big regrets, but I bought some lights that just were like, and I don't use them much. I probably, a lot of people can relate to this one, but if you invest heavily on motion control hardware, and then either you realize that you don't like using it, or you found other ways to do it, but I feel like that's what happens a lot. It's with camera movement stuff. Either you bought a gimbal and the gimbal wasn't the solution, so now you use motion control, so you have wasted money on a gimbal, or you bought motion control and you have a gimbal, and then you end up just using the gimbal instead of the motion control, and that can add up to be a lot of money, because some motion control stuff can be thousands of dollars. And I even made a video where I was comparing like the Edelkrone stuff to the Rhino stuff, and a lot of the comments were filled with people being like, yeah, I just dropped $3,000. And some people like the one system and not the other. If you read the comments, it's like some people hate the one and not the other, but it's the same thing of lost money.
Yes.
And it just happens. I feel like that's what it would be. It's like, it's camera motion stuff. I feel like that would probably be what it is. I'm fortunate enough though that my job again allows me to one, test stuff sometimes before dropping money on it, and sometimes test multiple versions of it so I can make the decision, and then I make the video telling you what I would buy, because I've been able to try them all and tell you which one I'm going to buy. But so I would say I have fewer regrets because of the privilege of doing what I do. So it would be easier for me to answer things I regret buying that aren't involved in this, because then I'm just kind of like everybody else, where you have to take a chance or whatever, you know what I mean? So I get to take fewer chances, which is good. Yeah, I don't know. Probably some kind of camera movement thing would be the answer.
Okay, that's cool. All right, guys, there are probably questions in there that I've missed, and I apologize. But Gerald has a life, unlike me, so we're not gonna carry on. So what I will say is thank you to everybody who turned up, and Gerald, more importantly, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. It's been amazing.
It's great. You're really good at good interview vibe, and fun fact for you here. Weird. It's going to be a weird nerd compliment. I get a lot of requests to do a lot of things, and like there's a disparity here in our kind of like channel sizes or whatever. And I was already asked in sort of like a backhanded way about the channel size disparity. I responded to yours because I liked your email. That's literally all it was. I was like, yeah, why not? So I think that you present yourself in your personality and the way you conduct yourself is pleasing to me. So good job. I wasn't trying to, like I said, it felt like a backward thing, because I was like, your channel's so small that I only did this podcast because I liked your email. That is exactly what I'm saying, but I'm not trying to say anything negative about it. I'm saying that that should be a thing to know, is that I don't think that channel size and stuff like that matters. I think what matters more is, I don't know, unleash your passion. No, what matters more is how you go about doing things, who you are, and how you present yourself or whatever. And I think that you did a great job both in the pre thing and then also in the video. So Good job.
Wow. Okay, slightly emotional. Thank you. That means an incredible amount to me. Again, I genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, really appreciate this. Thank you for doing it. And guys, I mean, you're all here for Gerald anyways, but on the off chance that anybody doesn't know, go and follow Gerald Undone on all platforms. And it is Gerald Undone on all platforms.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. I will link everything up though, just in case for everybody. And the podcast audio will be up tomorrow night. So sorry if I didn't get to your questions, but thank you to everybody. And Gerald, once again, thank you. Speak to everybody soon. Bye.